This is the One Step Better podcast. Helping small businesses make wins each and every week. Hey guys, welcome to the One Step Better podcast. I'm Mike, this is Matt, and we're going to get into technology today. So we've been doing this series on all things tech. So we're going to continue that, really wrap that up today with one more conversation about some technology tools. But before we do that, Matthew, Patrick, we're kind of close to the end of 2023. If you think about the different things that have changed or become new here in Patrick Accounting and Works this year, from a technology perspective, what are some of the things that you were looking back on, you're excited that we implemented, that's been a really big shift or change?
AI is the easy answer, right? I mean, it's getting embedded in every single thing possible that we could ever imagine, from our practice management software to how we take a Zoom meeting to, writing. I mean, what are
so AI? I feel like AI gets talked about a lot, and it's kind of like an ethereal ghost out there that
these robots.
It is what it is. But what are some practical, real, tangible things that you use AI for that's helped you?
Honestly, I mean, this is probably said 1,000 times, but just content and or idea generation. So asking either ChatGPT or Bing AI or whatever for, hey, I'm this person writing an article for this person, or I want to think of a top reasons why to do X, Y, or Z. Helping me kind of brainstorm a little bit on content is my number one use, I think, still today.
All right, so I'm going to give you a use case, and I want you to tell me what your prompt is.
Okay.
You are a restaurant owner that is looking to revamp your menu and try to come up with some ideas about how to make something a little bit more fresh or exciting or engaging. How would you use AI to prompt that?
I would almost say it exactly like you just said. Hey, I'm a restaurant owner. I'm looking to revamp my menu. This is the type of business we are. Here's the type of restaurant we serve. And I'm looking for some fresh ideas on new menu items or items in the blah, blah, blah concept, or I'm looking at maybe a rebrand or whatever it may be. I can go through that. Or what are some popular areas today of new cuisine that's seem to be growing or whatever it may be. And you literally just ask those questions in a very conversational tone. Like, we had this come up with a tax article, actually. Hey, new tax article came up. I'm a CPA firm wanting to summarize this information for our clients. Give us a summary memo we can send out in a professional but yet casual tone. And 16 seconds later, it's produced a jumping off point, not the answer, a jumping off point for us to edit, summarize. And then I would use the next steps of AI from there. I would go into Grammarly and have Grammarly looking at that tool to make sure it's written in the tone we wanted to have it in and it's proper English. And then I would probably, you can even go down farther. If you want to go down to the rabbit hole of this, you could get images tied to it. You could get, the robots to look like you and talk like you if you wanted to. I haven't done that yet, but that's out there and available. I mean, but for the most part for us, it's generation of ideas. That's why I think I'm using it more for than anything. Also, there's a lot of tools that we're using now that have AI built into them. So it could be sentiment, so that it will read and analyze the messages that are going on in the system and tell us, based on the parameters that were set in that tool, what kind of sentiment we see from a client satisfaction standpoint, or frequency of touch is not enough, or potential for issues, so it can actually analyze as far down as to the data that we're feeding it. So if it was, here's my profit and loss, what area of concern do I have? If I give you a 12-month trend, it will tell you that in a pretty narrative way that you can use as a jumping off point. The tools out there are pretty amazing.
It's creepy.
Yeah, there's robots, man.
It's
there's
creepy.
robots.
I know you use AI as a jumping off point. Whenever that first output, whatever it is, do you find that it's pretty close to right? How often are you making, I'll say, significant changes?
I say it's 60 or 70% right. If it gives you 15 ideas, 6 or 7 of those or 8 of those are good, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking. And I'm okay with that. I'm like, I can vet the idea, or I can actually then tailor my next question to be, hey, I like these 5. come up with some more ones like these 5. And you can tell it that, and it will give you some more options.
So really, idea generation is probably your number one use case of
Yeah, I mean,
AI.
it just helps, us get started, but I think this would be applicable in any industry. Like it's definitely one of the things I think that is something that people should be embracing. Other things is just automation in general. How do you, if you have a new prospect in your landscaping business or a pool service business, how would you easily reply to them? Automation in that process to get better contact information or better information in general, and where it doesn't have to be so people intensive. So I think that's a lot we've actually seen this year. All the tools we have are rolling out something tied to it. So from QuickBooks to our tax software to our practice management software, all doing that.
Everybody
I think
is,
that's
yeah.
similar with a lot of industries right now.
I like it from the idea generation standpoint. I'm not a super creative person. And so if I need to be creative, I may start with a blank sheet of paper and sit there for 15 minutes, however long, try to think of like, how am I going to get started? And AI can speed that process up. Like just like you said, hey, here's a couple of points. What are some of your thoughts? What would you do if? And then from there, it's like, oh yeah, I like that. And like it helps kind of just jumpstart things.
For sure. And I think it's similar with, if you were looking for menu items or you're looking for like, hey, how should I package my services if I'm a pool service contractor? I think if you ask those questions to AI, they're going to give you some ideas that you can jump off from.
Yeah. But it's never right on the front end.
There probably is some, but it's not perfect.
Not normal.
It can be somewhat generic.
Yeah.
You have to kind of make it. You want to be as detailed as you can be or niche-y as you can be in the prompts and in your questioning of the AI.
Yeah. But you could treat it like a conversation.
Yep.
I ask this, you say that, I then have a follow-up question. It starts to refine itself.
Yeah, and it is amazing how just conversational your question could be. I mean, that's the thing that's neat about it. You don't have to it's not like programming or filling out boxes. You're like, I'm just like literally going to ask you a question and you answer the question.
Yeah. And the next thing you know, you
lot
look
better
up
than just search.
and your best friend is AI tools.
Yeah, pretty much. I have a robot.
And you're lonely with nobody around you. Yeah.
That's normal. I'm going to count it. That's fine.
Other than AI, technologies, it changes super fast. There's always something else to add or something else to think about. Whenever you are considering implementing something new, how often is that in response to a problem you're trying to fix? Or is that more, I feel like there might be an opportunity? Or is that more, somebody said something that sounded cool and I just want to learn more about it?
So broken is broken. I got to get something fixed. And that means maybe the first product I find, or it could be the 100th product I find. But if I have a broken thing, I got to go fix that broken thing. So if my computers are always, if my internet, let's say my internet's not working, which is a simple tech problem, right? My internet's not always working well. What's going on there? Is it my switch? Is it my router? Is it the provider? I need a problem solve for that and get that thing fixed. That's way different than, okay, we see a process in general and we see an opportunity for either improvement or a tool or, hey, this isn't as quite as good as it could be. I'm going to keep exploring until I can find maybe something in a tool. I also have that binge, which is I like to see what's happening or new that maybe I can plug into our existing processes. So for me, I like seeing what's available and out there and new. There's so much going on. I have to stay. I feel like if I don't keep exploring, I'm going to miss something that could be very impactful. And so it's kind of a FOMO issue, I think, somewhat.
How much of that stuff is landing on your desk or you're seeking it out? What I mean by that is, are you getting hit up by some sales guy that's saying, hey, I think we can help you? And so like, yeah, I'm interested in that. Or is it more just I'm surfing the web and that pops
I have
up?
A couple of communities I'm in that are more tech leaning in our industry. So I get a lot of ideas from that. A lot from LinkedIn, just literally like, hey, here's my AI process I figured out for our sales funnel. That's interesting. I would love to figure that out, what they're doing there, and exploring more of the tools that are available. So like, I know that Shelby in our office is really into this as well. How do I use tech to improve my process? And I'm probably lean more towards accounting tech, but the same logic is still applying there. I'm trying to figure out, can we improve our process by using better tools?
I always find there's a balance between.
But once you start that search, every salesperson in the universe
You're getting hit
has
up.
the tools to figure out that I like that search, so I'm going to get some
You're in everybody's
indicators.
algorithm.
Yes.
Yeah.
You get blown up at that point.
it's one thing for you to do that for yourself because that's fulfilling to you. You enjoy that hunt, you enjoy that search, you enjoy learning in that world. But there's a different hat that you have to put on whenever you're bringing the team into this, because
Correct.
For some people that's disruptive. I don't want to change something that maybe in my world this is working perfectly fine, but you find something different, better, whatever it may be. And so let's just change, because sometimes it could just feel like we're just
we
changing.
talked about this a couple of weeks back, right? Which was how do I get my team involved in the process or buy-in of why we need to make this change? Actually, the tool we talked about just a minute ago, which is Agendly. Well, I look at that as a tool like, this would be interesting if we implemented this, because I could have consistency and visibility into all the meetings that we run. It's a meeting agenda tool, and it creates a really nice report, and it's something that creates a lot of clarity and consistency amongst our whole team. And I think about if we had all those meetings run by all our different managers in one spot, how would that work? Well, now I got to think about, okay, how do I get our team bought into? Is this a tool we want to use? How do we use it? How do we roll it out? How do we make sure everybody's always using it? And so it was interesting, that guy during that meeting said, hey, do you have integrators on your team? Because he knew we were a traction firm. He's like, I said, yeah, I have two, one for accounting and one for the overall firm. He's like, I would want to meet with them before we move forward. And so
because his goal is to get buy-in.
I want to get, you're a visionary, which is what I am. And it's like, yeah, I see this being a tool, but if we don't implement it, he's like, it doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. He was smart in knowing how to sell on me. But it was a tool. I can see a lot of value in that tool being something we can improve a process that we haven't. Maybe we have world-class processes in a lot of places, but I wouldn't think our meeting consistency is as world-class as I would like it to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you hit on an interesting point where he said, hey, that's cool. Let's get other people involved in this because we got to get it actually rolled out or it's useless. I feel like that's probably a struggle that some people have that are more leaning towards being tech heavy or cutting edge of things that are coming out. Is I may find a tool to use that is really presenting an opportunity for us, but my team is looking at that as
another damn thing.
It's another, and it's like that doesn't solve a problem I have. Why are we going to implement that? And it's a tough balance sometimes.
It is, and it's hard to do it, and it's hard. Like we've tried a number of tools that or even services. It doesn't have to be a tool, but it could be anything. If you don't get team buy-in, it's going to fall flat, or you're going to do it 10% as good as it could have been. Having an implementation plan, having a champion, discussing why we're doing it are all super critical in that process. I think about our tech issue today is I have a tech problem, and it may be a process problem, or it could be, we've talked about this too, with process or people, but the reality of it is I got to get buy-in on everybody of what we're trying to solve for or what the end result is trying to be.
Yeah. And that's easy to do whenever you are solving for something. Like something is broken, we're going to fix this. Everybody knows it's broken. They're ready for the fix.
Easy. My internet still doesn't work, man. Get that fixed.
Yeah, that's different. That's IT support in some ways. But it's different when we're talking about bringing new technology to the team, that because there is I have to inspire everybody else to even realize that this is something that could benefit them.
Yeah, and there's a culture tie into this, I think, more than anything, understanding what our goal of the problems we're trying to solve as an organization are. Are we not growing as fast as we like? Okay, so we want to improve our sales funnel, or we're having a problem with customer satisfaction, so I want to improve more visibility into communication so we can thwart those problems and reply appropriately and get things fixed if there's an issue. Having the visibility into the issues that we're trying to solve for, I think, leads to, okay, what in this process can we fix or can we get more visibility into so we have better clarity?
Yeah.
I think that's part of the what you're really trying to solve for.
There's always going to be something new. There's always going to be the next best thing. There's always going to be this thing can solve these problems that I think I have, or maybe I don't have, or maybe I didn't know that I had.
Yeah, I didn't know I had. The thing about the agenda, I didn't know I had an agenda problem, or not necessarily an agenda problem, but a meeting.
You know, there's an opportunity out there for that.
Wow, that actually is interesting how you would think and implement that. It's a tool I think would be interesting to use.
And you have to have people that are constantly thinking about those things in your organization, because everything is changing all the time. And for some people that's fun, and for some people not so much. So technology, there's a lot out there. I'm curious to know, what are some of the tools that you guys are using? Some of the, whether it's software, whether it's different things in your organization that you find to be super helpful. Let us know. Comment on the post, send us an email, help us get better with all the technology tools that are available. So thanks for listening, everybody. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for listening to the One Step Better podcast. I'd really appreciate it if you would take some time to rate us 5 stars on your podcast player of choice, and make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you never miss out on another episode. Thanks and have a great day.